Yep.
Oh shit. You ready to play it?
Yeah, let me know when.
Oh wait. One sec. Let me see if there was like a description that she had. Okay, so the description is it's a finished release. I love storytelling, and others can relate to the music I make and take something away from it, regardless of what it is they take away. I like to discuss issues that others find hard to put down, and this track talks about mental health. I try not to stray too much away from a specific style of music, but I do love to try out different vibes. This one I'm hoping is the sort of song you turn up on the drive home at night. Cool.
Sweet.
Alrighty. Oh, she got in with the drive upload as well. I changed the form
Nice.
before. Okay. Anyways, this is STAGZ Open Up My Mind. With a video. So let's hear it. Love the time lapse.
It's nostalgic. Dude, I think I was just on this highway today.
Nice. Let's listen to these vocals. Ooh, that crack. Nice. I think this is a loop, right? I can close my eyes. This makes me want to close my eyes. There we go. There you go. I just finished it. Did you finish it?
Yeah.
Shit. Sorry. Fuck. Let's go into a different video. There you go. Open Up My Mind by STAGZ. Oops. Just clapping there. Yeah, that made me want to close my eyes and listen. It's a good thing that the visual was a visual and not a music video. I feel very zen right now. Josh, do you have first impressions? What's up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good start towards something that I could see being radio ready. But I do think it needs some work.
Yep.
The first thing that I sort of noticed was I guess I can, or do you want to give your first impressions?
First impressions, overall vibe.
Yeah, so I mean, that's my first impressions, overall vibe. What are yours?
Oh, okay. I would say that my first impressions are, or the overall vibe is, I think you can sing pretty well. I agree. I think it's muddied by the reverb a little bit, though. I might be getting too into it. I like the drums. I like the off-the-grid style, but there's some things that I would change about it to make the mix better. But yeah, in terms of just feeling, like I said, this made me want to close my eyes. Your voice is very soothing. And with the nighttime kind of, I think Josh said nostalgic as well. I think we got that vibe that you were going for. So I think the feel is there. Without further ado, though, we did say we would have stuff to change. And Josh, you want to go ahead and lead it off?
Yeah, it's very comforting and relaxing, soothing. Yeah, man, I feel very zen right now. But
yeah, I feel pretty zen.
Yeah, I mean,
might be the true release. I got a second one, so.
Yeah, the vocal was I felt the same way, just like really, really cool. I like the performance. I like the whole vibe of the performance.
Yeah.
I just felt like the intelligibility was a little bit hard.
Yep.
It was a little bit hard to tell what was being sung. I don't know if that's a recording thing or a stylistic thing. But just like you can still have that very laid back feel that's very like calming, while just making sure that things are a little bit more not legible, like the audio form of legible.
Yeah, clear.
You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. That was part of it, and then I agree about the reverb. Like if you want to do that, you want to make sure that the vocal is present and up front, and then has sort of a wash of reverb behind it, but not that the wash of reverb is in front of the vocal. If that makes sense. And there's ways to mix and process to do that, like sending your reverb, not doing the reverb on the vocal track itself, but sending it to a bus, and then having the bus, pan it to both sides or whatever, or cut out the center of it or something like that. Give some space. You could also set a pre-delay on that reverb, so it waits, a certain number of milliseconds or seconds to come in, which can be a really ethereal, cool effect.
Oh shit!
Nice effect
I haven't tried that yet. That's dope, actually.
So yeah, on any reverb, you can set a pre-delay, which means the reverb doesn't start until X milliseconds after the signal. So it kind of gives it space to hear the vocal and then hear that wash of reverb behind it, which can be really cool. Then in terms of instrumentation, there were a few drum sounds that sounded a little bit like stock to my ears, or maybe they just could have been arranged or mixed a little bit, in a better way. And then my only other comment is on arrangement. I really like doing those slow builds at the beginning and then coming into something that's with the vocals and the bass or whatever. But almost 2 minutes, I think is a little bit too long. Minute and a half, I think is like okay, but it definitely felt like that was too long of an intro build.
I did have I had a thought in my head like, oh, when is this coming? Like when is the build up coming? I hope that she puts drums in it, and then it happened. So.
Right. I mean, 2 minutes is some people's whole song. Yeah. So it's like it's definitely a long intro, and then same for the outro. I think it was just a little bit long. It's not even a question of just like you have to shorten it. It can be just like adding little elements that are unexpected or changing things up. And this is like a common theme that through these feedback streams and just in general I see is like really good production always catches the listener's ear when they're about to fade out. Yep. So like you always want to make sure there's even a little subtle thing that catches the ear and remains interesting instead of just a static loop. it sort of makes things more organic, right? Things in nature don't just loop on repeat. They kind of there's subtle changes that are interesting and can still be very calming. So that's kind of my stuff. What about you?
I'll piggyback on the arrangement thing you were talking about. At the very end, I heard like a different synth come in, and it was subtle, but I would like to hear that earlier because yeah, it was just kind of repetitive in the beginning. I did like that sample though. The sample is really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of my comments have to do kind of with the drums, definitely. So you're building up this build up, and you come in with the drums, and I think the way that the drums are mixed now, it comes in a little flat. Excuse me, sorry. So what I would do is like try to make those drums snappier, and typically parallel compression will work with that. I hear the off the grid stuff you're doing with the hi hat and the bass drum, which I love. It's reminiscent of like stuff that Flume and Muramasa do, but the things that they have, their drums are a lot more snappy. There's also, and what Josh said about the stock sounds, I think what I was hearing was just a huge contrast between the reverb level of the voice and the drums. Like the drums sounded almost clean, and the reverb on the voice was like we said, like a little overwashed.
I think that's what I was getting at too.
Yeah, so I think like, I think if you just added more reverb and spacing to the drums, then it wouldn't sound as jarring as what we heard.
Yeah, and send that stuff to a bus so that you can have it exactly how much you want. So you can choose how much level of drums you send to the reverb bus, and you can choose how much vocals, but it effectively puts them in the same space so that like the fact that you're using it as a bus means that you're still getting the dry signal from either, so you can determine how much of the dry is in the mix, and then also how much reverb is being applied to each, which can make things sound farther away or closer or in a bigger space, and just getting that whole balance more cohesive would be good.
And hearing what you said in the description about like starting a conversation, I think feeling like we heard like nostalgia, we feel calming and soothing and very zen. But in terms of legibility, I couldn't hear much of the lyrics, and that could have been due to the reverb. But that's not an issue. Like for me, it's funny enough, like I'm a rapper and a vocalist, but when I listen to music, I don't listen for lyrics really. I listen for feeling. But yeah, if you want to get across like a specific vocal line, like we heard Jacob Johnson earlier, like he's dropping bars and we want to catch that at like the first time that we hear it. If you're kind of going for that as well, I think right now it's a little too kind of washed out with the reverb.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's necessarily like, it's not only about being able to hear what the lyrics are saying. It's also just sort of like a sort of vocal delivery thing, maybe. Like, I've heard this sort of a couple times, but you just want to make sure that your vocals don't sound too sort of washy, or like, again, I really can't tell if it's just there's too much reverb on it, or if it's the recording.
Mic, right. Or
the mic or the recording, but
yeah,
if you're going to do those really sort of intimate vocals, like, they need to be mic'd correctly so that we can hear those really subtle details, as well as just making sure that you're sort of enunciating things in the vocal line. And, I can't say which one it is, but just a general sort of rule of thumb.
I think what I heard, too, is that you can sing, for sure.
Absolutely.
We need a better recording setup. And this is where, this is why we're kind of trying to do this fast track thing, because we see a lot of talent, and we see talented singers like you, and then we see people that are really talented at recording the shit. So, I think you could sing really well. I think just recording it better and mixing and mastering it better will really take this to the next level. And maybe even adding layers. Like, this kind of goes with what Josh was saying with spacing. Like, imagine if you had this song, but you had layers that were like just panned to the different parts. Maybe they're even moving around and their harmonies and stuff. Like, man, that would be a nice addition to this. And like, you could do that. In doing that, you could start the beginning with just you and the synth, like just like you had it. And then during that build-up, you can add more and more vocal layers. And like, that would be, you could keep the loop the same, because it's kind of an interesting way to be like, oh, when is this going to drop? But at the same time, we still get a change with the kind of layered vocals that are being added on. So that would be like, if I were working with you and I'd be like, hey, like, girl, you can sing, let's let's do some layers, let's do some harmonies, let's move it around in
Yeah.
the mix and get some contrast. So, yeah, I think it.
Yeah, I didn't even
Yeah,
think of that. That's a great idea.
yeah. But yeah, that's our detailed feedback in terms of overall score. What do you think, Josh?
Well, first, let me just in relation to those changes and stuff. I don't know what I don't know who's producing this or recording or what the behind the scenes situation is, but all of these things that we've talked about are
Test,
like
test. Okay.
some of them might be like, what the fuck does that mean? Like there's a lot of specifics that we're going into and stuff that's maybe kind of annoying to hear, but all of it is definitely achievable. It's just a matter of sort of continually iterating on your stuff and like getting outside perspective from listeners to see how it hits people that are hearing it for the first time. And sort of a segue into Fast Track. Our plan is to make it super easy for people to manage their project and get help in any area where you feel it's needed. So it'd be super easy. Well, it will be super easy on our platform, which will be released this summer. You can sign up for our closed beta. I'm not sure if we have the form link somewhere yet for people to sign up.
Nope.
But we will soon.
Yep.
But the idea is that you'll be able to get feedback from professionals and industry veterans, people that have a lot of experience, and also to get services. So if you need somebody to mix your song, you can just find somebody right on Fast Track who can mix your song for you.
All right. Wait, Josh. Before we finish up the ad, we should give her the final score.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to sort of connect it to these improvements and how you might go forth to getting them, and also making sure people know about the product. But I'm not forgetting about the rating.
Fair.
For the rating on this one, I would say it's at a 2 for me.
Yeah.
And the reason why, again, with our scale is just this is a 1 to 4 scale where 4 is add to library, 3 is like it but maybe not add to library, 2 is needs some sort of improvements, and 1 is needs like re-recording or needs to be refactored in some way.
Yeah, or rearranged or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's right around a 2. There might be a couple of rearrangement or re-recording things, but it rounds up to a 2 for me.
Yeah, I think it's between 1 and 2 as well. But I think this has the power to really like launch up to 4 if it's done, in a professional manner. Like I could tell that you could sing. So, yeah, we just want to hear it get up to that level. So, yeah, STAGZ, thank you for. I don't know how you found us. Submitted during the middle of the stream. Yeah, thank you for the submission. Yeah, and this is kind of like the end of our stream. Josh, do we have any kind of last words